Welcome to Answers for Living. I'm Pastor Dave from Avondale Presbyterian Church, and we're going to be taking a fresh look at the Lord's Prayer. And I trust that each day that we talk about prayer that you'll learn something that you'll be able to immediately apply to your prayer life. So let me set the stage with this comment. The essence of prayer is simply talking to God as you would to a beloved friend without pretense or flippancy. And at the same time, we remember that this best friend that we're talking to is the Almighty Creator and the sustainer of life. And He is the one He's the one who sees the beginning from the end. He has His agenda for our life and for the world. And Martin Lloyd-Jones wrote, "Prayer is beyond any question the highest activity of the human soul. Man is at his greatest and highest when upon his knees he comes face to face with God." Now, having said that, let me remind you that there are innumerable things that God wants to do in your life and in your family's life and the lives of your friends and in your church life and in your community and throughout the world. And we might think He's going to do those things, period, because He's God. But that isn't true. I am convinced that He has many areas of life chosen only to move in when we see the necessity to ask Him. In James, we're told, "You have not because you ask not." And James makes it clear that there are things that we ask for and we don't get because we ask wrongly. And therefore, we realize that prayer isn't an attempt to get God to agree with us and provide for our selfish desires, but it's an affirmation of His sovereignty, righteousness, and majesty, and an exercise to conform our desires and purposes to His will and glory. Now, having said this, I want us to remember that there is incredible power and passion that time spent alone with God can bring. When you have tapped into God's will, the results will be sure. 1 John chapter 5, verse 13 to 14 says this, "And this is the confidence that we have in Him, that if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us. And if we know that He hears us, whatsoever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we desire of Him." Now, I've learned over the years that when I begin to pray about something I need God to respond to, that if after some time of praying without an answer, that I need to go back and recheck what I'm asking. If I know that my prayer is definitely according to God's will, then I just keep on asking without hesitation until I see the answer. But there are times when sometimes my desires and His will aren't on the same page. And then I need to let God change my request and adjust my attitude of my heart. Then He moves to bring about His answer to my petitions. So I trust that as we go through this journey on prayer, we will develop a more intimate relationship with the Lord, and that we will see more and more of our prayers being answered in such a way that we'll know that God has acted in response to our praying.